Hello everyone and welcome back to Agent Agash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video we're going to be returning to the Free Peoples, and this is going to be the first one of their arming videos as we're going to be looking at their allegiance abilities. So firstly, what to say about the Free People was that what we'll see in their allegiance abilities is they work very much how we'd like to think of the Free People, how they are similar to the Empire that they used to be, in the sense that they get like regiment bonuses. These guys are meant to be, rank and file, very much imperialistic. So let's get into the battle traits. The first one is Defiant Avengers. So the forces of order are confident of their abilities and are determined to drive the minions of chaos from the mortal realms. And in the rules, this transpires to you being able to reroll battle tests for friendly Free People's units. This is a really good ability. There's so many times in battle tests where even if you lose just one or two models and you roll a dice and think, I'm only running on a 5 and 6, something like that, and then you roll a 5 and 6. And then you think, oh god, typical, isn't it? This is when I always get my 6s. But just being able to re-roll the dice can make all the difference. So yes, I do like that. I think that is one of the generic order battle traits. However, it is still nice to see that it's transferred to the Free Peoples, as it is, I think, with a few of the order allegiances. I think things like the Wanderers get it. So it's nice to see that it's transpired onto the Free Peoples as well. Right, okay, so then the next ability is Free Guild Great Company. So the backbone of the Free People's diverse army is its regiment of well-drilled infantry, surveyed ranks of troops that support each other against the foe. So in the rules what this transpires to, you can organise friendly Free People units into Free Guild Great Companies before setup begins. You must tell your opponent which of your units are in each Free Guild Great Company that you form. When you form a Free Guild Great Company before the battle, it must consist of one Free Guild Guard unit with at least 20 models and two other Free Guild units of any type, including other Free Guild Guard units that have at least 10 models each. For example, a Great Company might have one unit of 30 Free Guild Guard, one unit of 15 Free Guild Crossbowmen, and one unit of 10 Free Guild Greatswords. At the end of each enemy charge phase, units in a Free Guild Great Company can lend support to another unit from the Great Company if all of the following conditions apply. The unit's lending support is more than 3 inches away from the enemy. The unit being supported is within 3 inches of the enemy. The two units are wholly within 12 inches of each other. A unit lending support to another unit from its Great Company can either shoot as if it were your shooting phase or charge as if it were your charge phase. Right, so that is quite a lot to digest if you don't have the allegiance abilities right in front of you. And just to be aware for you guys, I'm getting all of this from the General's Handbook 2018, as I noticed someone on the Iron Jaws videos, forgive me, I can't remember your YouTube name, but they asked, where am I getting the allegiance abilities for the Iron Jaws? And so I didn't realise that some people, obviously, there's new people who don't know that a lot of the allegiance abilities are actually in the General's Handbook. So if you haven't got a General's Handbook, there's something you definitely want. However, hold off, as there probably will be a General's Handbook 2019 coming out around the corner. We haven't seen any sign of that, but it's about the time of year there's one coming out. But anyway, let's go back to the abilities of the Free Guild Great Company. So essentially, you always need a Free Guild Guard unit, and it has to have at least 20 models in it. You can then have two other units in the Great Company. When I say you can have two other, you need two other units, and that can be any Free Guild Guard unit that has at least 10 models each. So if you want it to be Demigryph Knights, it's going to have to be, well, quite a lot of Demigryph Knights. If you can have 12 in a unit, you probably can. So yes, essentially it's for mainly things like handgunners, crossbowmen, great swords, other Free Guild Guard units, those sorts of things, as it's mainly for your infantry. So what is quite cool about it though is that it gives you the chance to be able to have another shooting phase. That's how I'm looking at it. As yes, you can use this to charge the enemy. Yes, shooting and charging are the two things you can do at the end of the enemy's charging phase. So firstly, shooting. I think straightforwardly it's the best option. Obviously, if you have units that can't shoot, what it is good for doing is that we all get to, especially if we're playing competitive games, we get to the last couple of turns, you think, oh, if I can just hold this objective But and then like you realise, oh no, the enemy's got one more turn left, and they'll be able to charge for the objective and kill my 2 remaining units on it and definitely take it. And then you go, actually, if I can somehow bog them down and tie down that unit so it can't, you know, get out of combat the next turn, it can't retreat and then charge me and take the objective, that could be the difference between winning and losing. So there might be good examples where charging is better than shooting, especially, you know, if you don't have shooting in your army. Right, so they're the good things. You know, it's a free ability. However, the unit lending support has to be outside of 3 inches of the enemy. So they can't shoot, you know, out of combat in this sort of thing through this ability. They can't, you know, charge if they're already in combat, because that could have been a really nice way to get your things to retreat and stuff in the enemy's turn. The other negative thing is that the unit being supported is within 3 inches of the enemy. That's fair enough. That's easy enough to do, really, because they're probably the units you want to provide support for. I mean, you can't just have a shooting phase just shooting wherever the fuck you like in the enemy's charge phase. But the most restricting thing, I personally think, is the 2 units are wholly within 12 inches of each other. Now, that is doable, but the units can't be too massive. They've got to be in tight formation to really keep that up. However, what I do like about that, though, is the narrative sense that, yeah, they're in great companies, they're in formations. That's the whole point of it. You know, they're not meant to be spread all over the board. They're meant to be, you know, tightly compacted together so they can best fight, you know, for their military tactics, their training. It's very much how I like to look at it as, if you've seen Game of Thrones, if you've seen the Battle of the Bastards, where Ramsay Bolton circles all of the men that fight for Jon Snow and Jon Snow himself and the Giant and so on, and they surround him and his remainder of his army with shields and pikes, and they literally just enclose until it's a really sort of gritty scene, and many die in that scene. But that's what I really like. You know, it just shows the military tactics of it. You know, they're not wanderers, they're not running around doing whatever the hell they like, they're not vanguarding that, they're not bloodthirsty Khorne maniacs that are just charging around slaughtering. Same for, like, you know, Iron Jaws. These guys, you know, they realise, you know, one human versus one orc, the human's going to have a bad day. However, a bunch of orcs against a bunch of humans, but the humans are all, you know, tightly in formation and all that, and they're using and applying their military tactics and training, the humans have got the edge. So yes, I do like that it transfers into rules. It can just be a little bit restricted, but I think it is manageable. So then going into the command traits, so the first one is inspiring. So the mere sight of this general on the battlefield imbues its warriors with unflagging courage. So friendly free people units wholly within 12 inches of the general do not have to take battleship tests. So this is good because the free people's bravery is not the worst, but it's not the best. So that's quite good to have. It's just a nice, reliable, you have to be within 12 inches the general to do that, and that's wholly, so again, wholly within 12, so tight. But if you definitely want to make one unit not be able to run away and not spend a command point to do it, yeah, you can do that. And then moving on to the second one, a battle-tested veteran. Through countless battles, this general has a lent to continuously advance and adapt their strategies. At the start of your hero phase, if the general is on the battlefield, roll a dice. On a 5+, you receive 1 extra command point. I quite like this. I'll admit I haven't looked too much into the free people, and I'll be looking into their command abilities when obviously we do the army video where we talk about their heroes, and it'll be very interesting to see how useful they are, because if they are pretty good, then the battle-tested veteran command trait sounds pretty good, because you're going to want to have your command points, especially if you want to do Inspiring Presence, make things run at automatically 6, make things be able to reroll their charge rolls, things like that. As imagine a lot of the stuff the free people, when you come to rerolling their charge rolls, it is good because imagine the free people stuff is fairly squishy, as it's not like a massively elite army. So that means that you want to get your charges. You want to attack the enemies on your terms, not the enemies. So yes, I do think that could be quite a good one there, for sure, potentially. So moving on to the third one, we've got Shrewd Commander. Or Shrewd, I don't know how that's pronounced. But anyway, Shrewd Commander. So even before setting foot upon the battlefield, the general has levied every advantage to ensure a victory. So roll on the triumph table at the start of the battle. This is in addition to roll for winning a major victory in your last battle. Right, so everything I'm looking here, I'm looking in match play. I'm not looking at a narrative and open play. They are really, really fun ways to run the game and play the game, but most people play match play, so that's how I'm looking at it. Right, so match play, how you do it. If you've got less points than the enemy for your army, you get a triumph. For these guys, I imagine it translates that you always get a triumph. And it says, like, in addition to the major victory, I wouldn't pay much attention to that, because if you're going to tournaments and stuff, that doesn't mean anything if you won your last game. And if anything, to be honest, I personally feel like if you're playing against someone and let's say they're a regular opponent and you beat them last time, so you're getting a benefit because you beat them last time, and that means you've got a bit of an advantage against them in the game. You know, only a little bit, but still a bit of an advantage. And I really feel like if that person's, you know, lost their last game, lost the one before that, you know, they're struggling a bit, surely they should have the triumph. I know it doesn't really make much sense lore-wise, like, oh, your army's full of spirits because they destroy the enemy's army, so they've got, you know, the triumph ability. And, you know, why the enemy get it if they lost and their morale was down, but it could show that they, you know, they never give up, they're undefeated, they're fighting to their last. So I feel like the loser should get the triumph, generally, I feel like. But in tournaments, I know that's different. But this, I imagine, just means you get to run the triumph table. So that means you have 2,000 point army and still get a triumph. Could be useful. Especially for like an army thing. It can be really quite nice. I mean, like, especially like in my tournament, which I say I will do a tournament video when Games Workshop release the pictures, as they said they would. But anyway, in that, I generally got a triumph because my army was 1,900 points. So it really was quite nice. Like, sometimes when I was like, I really need to get my damage through here, because in the Gash was my general who was giving me rerolls, hit rolls of 1, save rolls of 1. But when I rolled on the triumph table and I managed to get the once per game reroll wound rolls of 1s for one of the units, once per game in that turn, when I was like, I really need to kill something here, pull that out, put it on the Morghast something, and it really, really helped to get that damage through. Right, okay, so on to the fourth one, we've got Indomitable, which means this general expertly puts into practice the art of defensive warfare. And it says, add 1 to save rolls to friendly free people's units if they are wholly within 12 inches of this general and have not made a charge move in the same turn. This is quite good, especially obviously if you're playing the defensive game. You've got a lot of shooting, things like that. And you do have a lot of people, you know, sort of feel like free people first thoughts are the, you know, they're one of the older armies, so the generals are quite small. Well, obviously you've got the Griffins, so they're quite big bases. So it really sort of transpires through, so you could have a nice bubble for this. Again, it is only wholly within 12, but still, if you're running a lot of shooting and things like that, it could be a good thing to have. Or if you're running, you know, just like a shield wall, it could really, really help out your army. Now, moving on to the fifth one, a Righteous Fury. The warrior despises the servants of the dark gods, and more so than any other enemy, and will execute them without mercy where they are found. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by this general if the target of the attack has the chaos keyword. I personally don't like this because it's just too situational. Especially, like I said, I look at most things like you're going to tournaments in the sense of you're going to play armies you don't know you're going to play. I mean, if your general's got a good ability, what happens on a 6 to wound or something like that, or really is good for him to increase his wound rolls, and you always play against chaos, like you always play against chaos, you play against Saymate who always plays, you know, one of the chaos gods, basically, then yeah, this is good. But outside that situation, no, I don't think it's the best one. Right, and then number 6 is a Grim Resolve. So having survived many blows that would kill most mortals, this general has developed a dour and dauntless aspect. Add 1 to the general's wounds characteristics. Okay, so this isn't bad. It's just a nice, generic, but reliable one. Okay, so those are all 6 of the command traits. My favourite ones are probably Indomitable, to add 1 to your save rolls for your free people units. Bear in mind, like, even if you go, oh, it's just too small of a range, it means that your general's always going to get his save roll, isn't he? That means your Griffin's always going to get +1 to its save, which is always nice. And another one I like is they're not taking battle tests. It's nice, and I like the battle tested veteran to get the extra command point. Of course, that's dependent on their command abilities. And also on that note, like I say, I will review the command abilities and stuff in due course. But if you already play the free people, you know quite a bit about them, you know things about the command abilities, feel free to leave that down below so we can all learn something from it. Would be very nice. Okay, so the next one we'll look at is Artifacts of Power. And the first one is Armour of a Metronic Iron, forged from the metal of a fallen star. It is said that no mortal blade can pierce the armour of Metronic Iron. So what this does is add 1 to save rolls for your bearer. So what this actually ties in really nicely is the Indomitable Will. As what is quite nice is that if, bear in mind, the Indomitable Will only works if you don't charge. Let's say you're already locked down in combat, that's adding 1 to your save roll. And this is adding 1 to your save roll. So the Griffin, I imagine, has a 4-up save. So then that makes this guy have a 2-up save in combat when he doesn't charge. So that is pretty good and makes him pretty goddamn survivable. Right, okay, now on to the next one. So Blade of the Realms. So magically attuned to each of the 8 realms. The Blade of the Realms can slip in and out of reality at a fort. When wielded by a true warrior, no mortal armor can stop it. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Each time you make a wound roll of a 6+ for that weapon, the target unit suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage the attacks inflict. Okay, so that's cool. Gives you a chance to do more mortal wounds. What I will say though is, you know, just bear in mind that, yeah, you can tighten the Righteous Fury way to give you +1 to wound rolls against Chaos, but you don't know that's going to happen. I think there's probably better ones out there. Okay, the next one is the Luckstone. So it is said that the ruin-etched pebble attracts good fortune like a magnet, and that it has survived not just the destruction of the world before time, but a dozen worlds before it. So you can reroll 1 failed hit roll, wound roll, or save roll for the bearer each turn. I personally would rather just have the add 1 to save roll, as I think that's better, because bear in mind you can't reroll the hit rolls for the or wound rolls for the attacks of the Griffin. So yeah, I just rather +1 to save. If you're gonna if you want to really try and support the bearer, I would just go for the first one, armor of a Meteoronic Iron, as I think adding 1 to your save roll is just flat out better than that once per turn reroll. Not a massive fan of that. Right, especially when it's not for like charging or something like that. It's for something a bit mineral. Yeah, it could save your life, but you know, it's life if you like, but not as much as the add 1 to save roll will. Okay, the next one is the Broken Shackles. So a symbol of the free people, courage and heritage. This sundered pair of manacles allows the bearer to stride unimpeded through even the thickest combats. The bearer can retreat and charge as if it can fly. In addition, the bearer can retreat and charge in the same turn. I like this, especially like I'm comparing a lot of things to you taking a Griffin. I personally think the Griffin models are absolutely beautiful, so I would have one of my armies. That's how I'm looking at it. And being able to retreat and charge that thing is definitely a good thing. So yes, I do like that. And the next one is Writ of a Dominion. So a record of the free people's degree to take back what is theirs. The words on this magically imbued scroll fill all who hear them with grim determination. Once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, the bearer can use this artifact. If they do so, the bearer cannot move until your next hero phase. However, until your next hero phase, add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made by friendly free people units that are wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. So bear in mind this doesn't say anything about adding 1 to their wound rolls for it being in combat. It's just generally, so this could be a good thing to have on your hero at the back. It stays with your gun line and just makes your shooting more powerful. I think that could definitely see some benefit there. And then the last one, number 6, is the Flag of Conquerors. Whenever this flag is planted, the free peoples make their stand. Add 1 to the bravery characteristics of all friendly free people units that are wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. In addition, add 1 to the charge rolls for friendly free people units that are wholly within 12 inches of the bearer when the charge roll is made. So that's good, but you have to really get in with a 12-inch range there. I personally like the okay, so if I was to look at them all, my favourite ones are the armour of Meteoric Iron, because that gives you the add 1 to save rolls. The Broken Shackles, because that gives you loads of flexibilities with your general, or sorry, not just a general, but you know, the guy of this artifact. Or the Writ of a Dominion, because if you just have like the one hero who stays at the back with your gun line, it could really, really help them out. Yes, it's once per battle, but it can make so much of a difference. So that's my favourite free for those ones, I would say. Right, okay, and that is the end of the allegiance abilities for the free people. So that is the first one of the army videos. The next army video we'll be looking at the units of the Free Peoples. There's quite a few of them indeed. Obviously there's not loads, but there's, you know, they're a bit of an army, aren't they? So there's plenty to talk about, which will be very nice to do so. And yes guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe and comment down below. So that does all massively help me to be able to make as many videos as I can. It's absolutely free for you guys to do so, and it really helps the channel. If you'd like to support the channel a step further, what you can do is have a look at the Patreon account I've set up, and there'll be a link to it in the description down below. And essentially, Patreon allows me to get some income towards the channel that really helps it without me having to do adverts, as I don't want to put any adverts on the videos. I've said this many times before, as it's very annoying when you're trying to watch a YouTube video and an advert pops up, and I want to prevent that as much as possible. So Patreon is a really good way of doing it, and all that money goes straight back into the channel, which is really nice. And on that subject, I would like to thank my patrons. So we've got a 4 patrons who are in the vampire tier, and what this means is that they donate at least $5 a month to the channel, which is a huge donation indeed. I can't thank those guys enough. And that is Max, Kyle, Simon and Martin. So again guys, thank you very much for your support. It's all going obviously, like I say, towards the channel. It's going to help towards, you know, getting things, you know, like battle tomes, an actual microphone. That'll be really good. It's probably going to be the first thing I'm going to get. Also things trying to get cameras and stuff like that for the channel, so I can do like unboxings, hobby and chats, and also things like battle reports. So I really want to do. So all that money really helps towards that. And like I say, about battle tomes, I've said this before, it's like a battle tome, when I'm doing it for an army that I collect, absolutely fine, I'm going to buy the battle tome. But when it's for armies I don't collect, like a example one that'll be coming up with the fire slayers I'll be getting, they're quite expensive, so it really helps to go towards that. So thank you guys really so much for your help there. It is a massive support. I can't thank you enough, like I already said. And then we also have a new one, and this is a necromancer, and as it is his first time being a patron, that is going to be Christian. So Christian, thank you very much for your donation. Like I say, anything you donate really supports the channel, and it is all going to help me to be able to provide a better content to everyone who watches this. So everyone who watches this and appreciates the content, firstly I thank you very much, and if you could please say like a bit of a thank you to the patrons, that would be a massive show of appreciation. And thank you very much Christian for your support there, massively helps. Right guys, so, and also a little bit on that note, of course if you can't afford to do Patreon, that's absolutely fine guys. I'm just really glad that you came and checked out the channel. What I also want to say is that if you're a Free Peoples player, or you're an Empire player, things like that, and you are enjoying the Free Peoples you know, series, please remember that I would like you to send me pictures of your army so I could showcase them in all the videos we've got to come for the Free Peoples. As it'd be absolutely nice to have showcasing your guys' hard work in painting and stuff. Even if you guys, if you think like your army's not particularly well painted, just send it anyway guys. I'm sure it is really nice. So if you could do that, that'd be absolutely great, because I think that is nicer than just showing bits of artwork, I think. So that'd be absolutely fantastic. So guys, like I say, I thank you all very much for watching this. I hope you very much enjoyed it. And remember, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.